All right, so we're going to first of all take you through a bit of an introduction of what the platform is, and then what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the detail of the platform and all of the different elements that make it up. So just to give you an idea, it is quite an in-depth platform for complex B2B selling. So there is a fair bit to it. So really today we're going to be covering the broad strokes of the platform, and then what we'll be doing is running separate webinars and separate sessions for the different elements that make it up. Okay, so first of all, a bit of a background for those of you that don't know CRM Online. I know that many of you do. We've been in business since 2006. We've done more than 200 implementations across APAC. We're an advanced SugarCRM partner and about to become a silver Salesforce recognised partner as well. Actually, we've been a Salesforce partner for about a bit over 12 months now. But our focus is really entirely on CRM and providing high value sales, marketing automation, and CRM platform solutions to our customers. So the sales methodology really came about as a need to provide a solution for complex B2B selling environments for our customers in Australia. The journey really started about 2 or 3 years ago in partnership with Tony Hughes, and over that time we've been through a few iterations. We've had new versions of SugarCRM come out, SugarCRM 7 of course, and of course there's now a new UI for Salesforce as well. So these are all elements that we've navigated over the time, and what we're doing today is we're releasing the very first sales enterprise selling methodology for SugarCRM. It's all built natively in SugarCRM 7 and is designed to compete with the best of the CRM methodologies out there today. Really, what RSVP selling does, it enables your sales teams to fully understand complex selling environments, which increases the forecast accuracy, helps you convert more deals, improves collaboration between your sales managers, sales reps, and generally right across your sales and account management teams. It allows you to identify opportunities at risk. Okay, so we've all been in that situation where an opportunity, we really don't know enough about an opportunity, and we find out at the last minute, or whatever the case happens to be. This platform allows you to identify those opportunities at risk. It allows you to share your current opportunity plans and really transforms the CRM into a real coaching platform. So what we've got is we've got a number of different elements here. We've got our qualification tool, okay, and what that is, okay, get my window out of the way. So the RSVP methodology is really made up of a number of different elements. So the first of those is the qualification tool. So RSVP really stands for the 4 key elements that we typically need to cater for within a complex B2B selling environment. So the first is, do we have the right relationships in place? Do we have the right strategy to win the deal? Are we creating unique, compelling business value for the customer? And does the customer acknowledge that? And do we understand the customer's buying process? And are we aligned with it? So the different tools that we've put together allow us to see where we're actually positioned in each of those areas. So the first of those is the qualification tool, where we're able to fully qualify how our strengths and weaknesses across each of those different areas, identify action items, and to address those weaknesses and ultimately strengthen our ability to win those deals. Okay, our sales playbook, very quickly, is basically a platform that allows us to create a library of coaching questions based on the role of the individual that we're talking to. So a CMO, for example, will have see different value and have a different set of requirements than, say, a CEO or a chief financial officer. So what this actually allows us to do is to coach, provide a system that our sales reps can use to make sure that they're asking the right questions to the right people in the organisation. Okay, our organisational chart allows us, provides a visual mapping tool, drag and drop updating of our organisational structure. We're able to map out within that organisational structure what, if any, role those contacts have within that particular opportunity, and whether they're a supporter or not of our particular bid. And then that ties in to the rest of the CRM system. So as we update the organisational chart, that actually updates data in real time for the rest of the CRM. So it's not something you're doing in isolation for that opportunity. It's helping you get a holistic view right across your CRM and share that data with other sales reps and account managers in your CRM. Okay, and finally, not finally, but we also have an influence map, which allows us to map not just the organisational stakeholders, but external consultants, external influencers, and so on. Okay, and then finally, our close planner. So our close planner is a really powerful tool for really understanding the buying process and the timeline of our customers. Okay, so we're going to show you this in play in just a minute. What this actually allows us to do is identify all of the steps that need to happen in order to deliver a project or a product within the time frame identified by the customer, and then backdate that to when the project needs to be signed off. So it solves a number of issues for us. It first of all helps us understand what is really the time frame that the opportunity needs to go ahead in, and therefore helps us improve our forecasting. Okay. Second of all, it provides a set of action items for both us as a provider and the customer on their end. What do they need to do in order to meet the deadlines to meet their desired go-live date? Okay, so it's really about fully understanding when the opportunity is meant to close, and also providing a tool that helps us collaborate with the customer to work with them to close the deal in order to meet the desired time frame. So helps you avoid things like opportunity slippage and so on, because of an improved understanding of the deal and improved collaboration between yourself and your customers. Okay, and finally, what we have is the ability to identify opportunities at risk. Okay, so what we have here at a management level is, let's say at a management level, I want to know when an opportunity is, for example, in a negotiation phase, but we have a relatively poor understanding of the opportunity. So we allow you to define a whole range of rule sets that say that I want to see opportunities that are in negotiation where our qualification score is less than 50%. Because that's a red flag to me as a manager, saying my sales rep has not qualified this properly and there are weaknesses in the opportunity that they don't yet understand and have not identified how to address. So what this does is this prompts me as a manager to go and work with that sales rep to better understand that deal, to strengthen their position, and therefore help them increase their chance of winning that deal. So we've all heard the adage, the most expensive way to lose a deal is to come second. Okay, and what this allows us to do is to identify those situations where we are really in second place and we don't realise it, and allows us to either qualify out or strengthen our bid to make sure that we have the best opportunity to win those deals. The second thing we allow there is the ability to identify opportunities at risk based on stalled opportunities. So what we actually do is we track when that opportunity last progressed and was last updated. And so what we can say is that if an opportunity has been in negotiation for a month or for 2 weeks and hasn't progressed, mark that as an opportunity at risk. Okay, so we're going to take you through each of those elements within the platform. Okay, now a bit of a demonstration. Okay, so what we have here is I'm going to go into a particular opportunity within my CRM. Okay, so what we actually have here, okay, is we have against the opportunity we have our usual opportunity dash layout, and then we have our RSVP summary on the right-hand side. So this tells us how to snapshot. Most of our sections are, my relationships are reasonably strong, and everything else is currently in a really weak state. So what I know is that I'm quite weak within this deal. I've got a whole range of relationships, but I need to do a lot of work around strategy, understanding the customer's buying process, and creating that unique value. Okay, so what I can actually do is I can drill down into the qualification tool, and what you'll actually see is we've got a number of really basic questions that we ask our sales reps to ask as part of this methodology. So these are really the basics of, why are we even in this opportunity? So why would the prospect buy anything at all? Why would they buy from us? Okay, so the first question is, why would they do anything rather than do nothing? So 25% of big opportunities are lost to really, buyer apathy or just, doing nothing as opposed to actually going forward and obtaining a solution. So, and the reason for that is really, there needs to be a compelling event or a really compelling reason for that customer to go and invest in a new product, solution, whatever the case happens to be. Okay, why will the prospect buy from us? So what's our unique differentiation? What is the buying process, and what's our strategy to win? Okay, so we asked the sales rep to really think about that, and then what we have is within each area, so relationship, strategy, value creation, and process alignment, what we have is we have basically a set of qualification questions, fully configurable, fully customizable. So every organisation is different. We actually, these are the standard RSVP questions with integrated coaching videos, suggestions, and recommended prompts, but these can all be tailored to each organisation and each industry. So what we're asking each rep to do is to go through each of these, ask themselves a question such as, do we have an inside coach providing us with accurate information or intelligence? Okay. In this case, yes, but they're only mid-level, so that indicates that it's a good thing to have, but it's not as good as it could be. Senior level would be better. Okay. We have for each of those questions, and this is very similar for each of our 4 sections there. We have our coaching videos. Okay, so when we go and set up our actual qualification categories and questions, what we have is the ability to create YouTube coaching videos. So in this case, we have embedded a range of coaching videos from Tony Hughes specifically, and these come with the platform, where they basically provide coaching for the sales reps. If they don't understand what a particular qualification question is asking, they can click on that, they can see a video that explains exactly what it is. Okay, so it's like having a one-on-one sales coach at the caliber of someone like a Tony Hughes embedded within your CRM. Okay, and the final thing we have is, in any of these sections where we've identified that we have a weakness, we want to go and identify how we might strengthen our position. So in the situation of we have a positive relationship with an external consultant guiding the selection process, what we can do is, if we don't have a strong relationship, what we can do is perhaps have an action item of arrange an introduction between our CIO and that external consultant as an action item. For each of those qualification questions, we even have default tasks that we recommend, okay, that can prompt us to say how might we address these weaknesses. So we can create an action item, assign it to Jim, for example. Okay, please call Caitlin and organise a coffee catch-up. Okay, and this feeds in to the standard SugarCRM task system. So it actually creates an action item, a task that sits against the opportunity. And if you've got, for example, your Outlook integration for Sugar, that will then synchronize as a task into that individual's Outlook system. So really, that's what we're talking about when we're saying it increases collaboration. It helps you work as a team to maximize your ability to close those deals. Okay, very similar for strategy, value creation, and process alignment. Again, fully configurable, and I'll briefly show you the configuration platform right at the end. Okay, but what that actually does is that makes sure that we're putting our best foot forward in that deal. Okay. Second part of this is our sales playbook. So for each of our individual stakeholders within that opportunity, each one of those stakeholders is going to have potentially a different set of issues, and the way that we solve those issues might be different for those different roles. So a CFO is going to have a concern around how does this affect, they're going to care about cost, they're going to care about risk of implementation. That's the sort of question that you should be asking a CFO. If you're talking to the CIO, for example, they might have a preference that look, they might be anti-cloud for whatever reason. So they may be subject to, let's say, certain regulations for their industry. So they need to know that the data is hosted within Australia. So the sorts of issues and questions that we're going to ask a CIO are going to be different based on what their role is. So what we actually have here is, for each of the individuals, we are able to identify what their issues are, what our solution is, and what the business impact is for each of those roles. We have a set of questions, or a whole library of questions. You can have as many of those as you like, where we're actually prompting our sales rep to say, these are the sorts of questions that you want to be asking this person in this role. Okay, so we've just got a couple there for samples. Okay, so let's say I'm talking to a CEO. These are the sorts of questions that you might ask. Okay, so based on those responses, we'll then populate this, but we also have common responses. Okay, so common issues, common solutions, and common business impact statements. And what that actually does is that enables us to create a business-focused summary of the conversations that we have with each of those individuals. And what we can do is we can take those business discussions, select an email template, any email template within the system, and then use our email client within Sugar to compose a business summary or a discussion summary for that individual. So what it does is it not just it doesn't just help us identify their issues, it helps us articulate it, and particularly if you're running, for example, a cold calling campaign or something like that, it helps your sales reps that may be coming up to speed trying to come up to speed relatively quickly and get their head around a lot of different products and a lot of different solutions, it helps them communicate the right message based on the library of content that you have put together as a team. Okay. Finally, our organisational chart. So this is very much as you'd expect. Okay, so within that org chart, this is coming from the account within the associated account from the opportunity. We can update each of our individual contacts' details just by clicking on them, and we don't lose where we are. Excuse me. We can identify the role that each of those individuals has. And what we also have is we have we're able to identify whether or not someone's a supporter. What sort of coverage do we have? Okay, so do we have any coverage at all? And what's their influence level? So if they're a strong supporter and they have moderate influence, then that's reasonably good for us. Okay, if they're a strong supporter and strong influence, that's even better. So we get a visual indicator that indicates how, quickly tells us where our risks are and where our supporters are within the opportunity. We can add new contacts very quickly without losing where we are. You can see that it inherits all of the details from the account. Okay. All right, and then obviously we have a similar thing within the influence map as well. So the influence map, what that actually does is that allows us not to necessarily map the organisational structure, although often the influence map will be based on that to start with. But as we start to understand the political structure within the organisation, what we're able to do is to identify who is influencing who within the organisation. So you might have a personal assistant, for example, of a CEO who has a really strong influence over that CEO's perception of a particular solution. Or you may just have really strong relationships between certain key influencers that affect the deal. So this allows us to highlight that, and the influencer also allows us, the influence map also allows us to bring in external consultants. So if I wanted to, say, add an external consultant to the opportunity, I can go and do that from this screen. Okay. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, we have our closed planner. Excuse me. So what we actually have here is a typical closed plan we might have. Okay, so we have different sections. So let's say the customer has said to us, we need to have this project live by the end of January. Okay. Yeah. So what we can actually do is we can map out all of the steps that need to occur in order to close that deal. Okay, we need to, and what this will do is this will actually create a bit of a Gantt chart for us. So if I change the view here, we can see the end-to-end view of that Gantt chart. Okay, we can see which elements are dependent on or which tasks have dependencies, and therefore which elements are the critical path. So as I go and move these things around, certain tasks are highlighted red as part of the critical path. Okay, and what we can see is we've just mapped out a number of tasks there, but what we can actually do is let's say end of January is the go live date. Let's say we've mapped out our whole project here. What we can actually do is we can backdate that Gantt chart to give us the date that each of these items needs to occur on. Okay, so what we can actually see there is that we need to start sending the MSA, SugarCRM MSA, by the latest on the 10th of January. So it basically helps us understand end-to-end what the challenges are going to be within the deal and what the real deadlines are, because we've all been in that situation where a deal just drags on and the customer's desired go-live date doesn't necessarily change, but the we get a shorter and shorter time period to actually to implement, right? So what this does is this helps us collaborate with the customer and really work with that customer to make sure that we can meet their deadline by hitting the milestones in between that. We can share this by printing the summary. We can print. You can either use this print functionality to generate a shared deal summary or deal plan with your colleagues. So let's say you wanted to do you're working on a $2 million deal. You want to do a deal review. This allows you to generate a printed version of your deal plan to date, and it also allows you to email it directly out of the system. So this will go and render that into a PDF deal summary. Okay, and that gives me something that I can share with the rest of my team. It identifies all of our strengths, weaknesses, our close plan, the whole lot within the system there. I can also email that. That'll create an email for us that by default is addressed to my direct report. Okay, okay, so that really allows us to take it outside of the CRM as well. Okay, the final bit in the closed planner is really the template. So we don't really expect sales reps to go and create each of these every single time they have a deal. The reality is that they're going to want to have a whole range of templates that they can select for different types of deals, different types of implementations, and so on. So which they can then tailor from there. So we've created the ability to create as many templates as you like. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the template, and that will pre-populate my close plan. Okay, so you can see that it's all about creating a really user-friendly tool for the sales reps to empower them, not to weigh them down with a lot of admin and so on, right? So that's the last thing we want to do. We want to empower them, give them something that's really powerful and really user-friendly, and really helps them from there. Okay, right. So what so that's really our tool sets around our opportunities. Okay, but it's not just our opportunities that we have this at. So what I'll do is I'll give you a bit of an idea of how this all ties together within the broader picture. Okay, so we also have a subset of these tools within, for example, our lead management screen. We have just our qualification tool in our sales playbook. Okay. Within our accounts view, we have, again, a subset. We have a qualification tool, we have an organisational chart, and we have our account planner, which we can't show you yet. That's coming soon. But that allows us to map out where our potential upsell opportunities are within our existing accounts. Okay. So. Finally, once we have all of these tools in place, we want to, as I mentioned earlier, we want to see at a management level where are our weaknesses in our deals. So what I'm quickly going to do is show you the RSVP escalation rules. And what we have is a couple of rules already set up where we've set up, for example, a negotiation opportunity that has been stalled for 2 weeks. Okay, so what we actually have here is we have an escalation type of stalled opportunity. Okay, we have a minimum opportunity value of $20,000. Okay, and we have number of days that it's been stuck in that sales stage, and which sales stage do we want to populate it in. Okay, so what it's actually doing there is it's saying that I only care about anything that's $20,000 or above, and it's been stuck in negotiation for more than 14 days. Who do we want to escalate it to? A defined user, so CRM Online admin, which is who I'm logged in as at the moment, and we can also include the sales rep. So we can escalate it to the direct reports, a specific user, let's say the sales manager, or the sales rep themselves, so who's assigned to that opportunity. Okay. The second rule that we have set up is a low qualification score so low RSVP score at a late stage. So if we have an RSVP score of less than 75% in negotiation, that to me flags a risk. So what we've got is we've got a live match there of all the opportunities that are matching that particular rule. Okay, and that's really just used to verify that I've set up the rule correctly. So the way that this actually is presented to me at a management level is I see an opportunities at risk dashlet. Okay, so what that actually does is that shows me all of the opportunities that that have been flagged as at risk, and I can then go through and review those as a manager. Okay, so I can see that Rubble Group Inc. is flagged as at risk. Okay, if we hover over that, we can see a quick snapshot. So what's the sales stage? What's the account? What's the escalation rule that's been triggered? And what is the expected close date and value of that opportunity? I can also, from that, I can now snooze that opportunity or that notification for a period of time, a day, a week, 2 weeks, or I can completely ignore it if it's not one I want to see. I can filter by close date as well. So if I want to see everything that's closing in the next week that's at risk, I can see that as well. So what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to snooze that for a day. I don't have, let's say, the sales reps on the road. I can't look at that today, so I'm going to focus on other opportunities. I'm going to snooze that one for a week until the next weekly meeting. Oh, this one's one I want to look at, so I'm going to drill down and really go into how is that one really looking. What I can see there is that we haven't done our qualification, so I'd then be working with the sales rep to go through and make sure that opportunity is properly qualified and do that coaching with the sales rep. Okay, so that's a really powerful tool for management to be able to coach their sales reps effectively and be alerted when things aren't happening the way that they could be. Okay. Finally, we'll just show you how a number of these elements really tie together. So and again, this is we've only got a relatively short time today, so we're going to move through it fairly quickly. So we have a number of dashlets that provide insights to the different elements that we put together here around our opportunities. So what you can see here is, now if I go to an opportunity that's been populated or has had some population, what we can see here is our RSVP summary, which comes from our qualification tool, and our perceived issues. So as we go and map out in our, so our RSVP summary is fairly obvious. That is our qualification score. So 24%, 24 out of 100, so 24% is our qualification score at the moment. We have our perceived issues, okay? Now these are coming from our sales playbook, okay? So this allows us at a snapshot to see, here are the issues that we have identified for each of those individuals. Okay, so if we happen to be talking to that individual again, without having to go right into our playbook, we can see that information. Okay, put a link off to our actual contact as well. So if we go and have a look at the contact view, on the other side of that, we see at an individual level, here are all of the opportunities that this contact is involved in, and here are the perceived issues that they have identified. And what that does is that just allows us to understand over time what is it that drives this individual, what are the issues that we're discussing with this person, and what are they flagging as the things that really keep them up at night. Okay, and then obviously we have a link back to our opportunity and our playbook. Okay, so what we have is those different dashlets there. We have our RSVP summary, we have our perceived issues dashlets on both the opportunity and contact view, and we have our overall opportunity dashboard, which shows us our opportunities at risk. Okay, so that really ties together our tool sets around our sales, our leads, our opportunities, and our accounts. Okay. Okay, and before we go any further, I'll just check if anyone has any questions. If you have any questions, please put them into the section there. So no, we're good at the moment. Okay. All right. So the final thing that we're going to show you is really how it's all configured. So as we mentioned earlier, it's really it's a platform, it's a framework to be tailored. Okay. So we do make the system very, very configurable. Okay. So what we actually have here is we have our RSVP categories. Okay. So right to the category level, we can configure and customize. So if you don't want it to be called relationships, value creation, process alignment, or strategy, you can have 8 different categories if you like. You can have categories based on the different product lines you have. Whatever it is that you need, you can tailor to your requirements. If we go into the relationships category, for example, we can update the order, which icon is associated with it, our help text, and then each of the questions. So we can drag and drop each of our questions to adjust the order. We can delete them. We can adjust the questions, the answers, and associated weightings. Our default action items, which we would have seen back in the opportunities in the qualification tool, any coaching text, okay, and any video coaching that we might want to have in there. And finally, what we actually have there is we have which modules we want this qualification question to appear in. So different modules are going to have different questions in them based on where you're at in the sales process. So, for example, at a lead, we're going to have probably a much simpler set of qualification questions to qualify that lead. As opposed to the opportunity. The opportunity is a qualified lead. We're going to need to know a lot more about that as we invest our resources in trying to win that opportunity. Therefore, you would typically have more questions available in the opportunity. Okay, so again, all drag and drop, fully configurable, a lot of opportunity to really tailor it around your specific requirements and your specific organisation. Okay, so look, really, that's the core of what we wanted to do today, to really outline to you where the product is at the moment. We're really looking to, we've done an extensive analysis against the major methodologies that are out there today. We believe that what we offer is, in some ways, particularly at things like the opportunity at risk indicators and so on, really challenges the major players in the market today, and this really does, we certainly believe it provides real value for anyone doing complex B2B selling, and even in B2C, if leveraging things like your qualification tool and your sales playbook will certainly provide value as well. So what we're going to do at this point is Caitlin and I will be around for another 10 minutes or so for any questions that might be around. If anyone would like a one-on-one discussion around this, please get in touch, and we'll go from there. Thanks very much for your time, guys.